don't ask questions you don't want the answer to, you know? So there's that fear of maybe like rejection or finding out they're not the person I thought they were.
Hi, I'm Nicoletta Heidegger, and I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist specializing in sex therapy.
Hey guys, I'm Melissa Stratton. I am a star, content creator, and camera.
Let's chat. What do you feel like you need some advice on today?
I need a lot of advice.
We only have a little bit of time, but
yeah, so I think the main thing that I wanted to ask you about was navigating friendships in the kind of like adult work industry, whether they're friends outside the industry or friends inside the industry, because I find that as you kind of get close with people, it's difficult to know who to trust, I think maybe the biggest problem I have is like friends in the industry, you can kind of get like competitive with each other. It becomes a little toxic, and then in turn you're left with no one, you know?
I mean, first I just want to normalize like what a human struggle this is, like across the board. And especially as women, like we are taught to fight each other.
Yeah.
We're taught to compete.
Yeah.
And it really fucks things up. And then because of the stigma around the porn and adult industry, there's additionally this sort of emphasis on like in-group fighting, meaning like fighting within.
Yeah.
Because that helps keep this industry like still stigmatized.
Yeah.
You know, if we're supporting each other, that's like where it's at. So I just kind of want to normalize that like this is a long-term thing that most of us have been conditioned and taught is to fight each other, right? To compare each other, to be like, I'm prettier, you're prettier, I'm thinner, you're fat, you know?
Yeah.
And it sucks.
It does, yeah. It's very unfulfilling. It's very lonely.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, I think this is like a human struggle because not just in the industry, but outside of this, we've got our capitalistic society, right?
Yeah.
And so this is something that's taught to all of us, like to be better. Yeah. But my first kind of tips are to figure out, like, do you feel like you have a sense of what some of your like top 5 values are of what you want to share with a friend? Just like you think of like your list for like a romantic partner.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Maybe I haven't thought about that before because I like, I always like to say that I like characters. I like people that have a really strong personality, that know who they are and you know where you stand with them. Okay. So in being that way, I'm kind of flexible with who I let into my life, meaning, if you have a different job than me or you have a different personality or you kind of operate in a different way, I find that, stimulating, but no, that's really interesting. I think loyalty is really important. I don't ask a lot from my friends, but when I do, I need to know that they're there for me. And a lot of times
maybe it's time to start asking for more.
Back. Maybe I have a hard time asking for anything. Not even, physical or time, but like emotional support. I don't think I lean on people, with my problems, I guess.
And to be honest, if I can give you some direct advice, is
please,
that okay?
Yeah.
I feel like that sometimes can bring in people who aren't able to take in what you're asking and do it, right? If you're saying like, I'm easy, I don't need anything, like whatever, but then when you need it and you're like, why isn't anybody showing up?
Yeah, oh man.
So it can be hard, and I'm not saying you should just like ask people things that you don't actually need, but it sounds like getting clear on those values, maybe starting earlier to ask for more just to see, well, how does someone respond to my ask?
Yeah.
Right, like even if you don't practice it right now, is there anything I can do in terms of like the physical distance between us that would feel even more comfortable for you?
Yeah, come sit a little closer. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's funny because I think most of the time I'm very not touchy-feely at all. Yeah. But then with the people I'm close with, I always have like a hand on them, and I think that's in my head, that's when it clicks that we're like friends. So, so maybe asking them to like reciprocate that would be kind of cool. I don't know, that's interesting.
Yeah, okay, so top 2 tips already, getting clear on those like top values, but maybe even having a list that you keep, like a physical list, so you can go back when you meet someone and being like, okay, how are they like lining up? And that's something you're gonna have to check in about over time. Yeah. And then early on seeing, well, how do they respond when I ask them for something that I need? Sometimes
too, it's tough. I've always been taught, like, careful of the answer, like don't ask questions you don't want the answer to, so there's that fear of maybe like rejection or finding out they're not the person I thought they were. So I think that keeps me from like doing that. Good news though, because then it leaves space for some good people. But I get it, rejection sucks, but it's also leaving space for... That's how you end up with better friends, so yeah.
Yeah, but it's a scary risk to take. Yeah. And I would say my last piece of advice is community is key, but I hear obviously you're like, well, how do I find community by getting community.
Yeah.
But I think going to places where you know other people are looking for friends.
Yeah.
And so like I work with Pineapple Support, which is a group that does, stipended mental health support for people in the industry. They have support groups.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they're like social groups or social get-togethers, so going to places where other folks are trying to authentically meet somebody.
Interesting.
And if it's outside the industry, you can find other kinds of support groups or meetups or get-togethers, but so it's already built in where you know, hey, someone else here is also trying to find this authentic connection.
That's a good point.
And then also doing what you're just doing right now, which is naming this problem in our world and in the industry and being like, yo, this sucks.
Yeah.
And somebody's gonna hear this and be like, hey, I struggle with that too.
Yeah.
Let's be friends.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, totally. No, I love that. In such a short amount of time, you've actually given me a lot to think about, you know? And I think some of it is like that vulnerability and like knowing what I want, so that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, look, none of this is gonna be like quick, easy magic wand.
Right,
It's gonna take some time and practice, but I hope that this can be, for you and for listeners, maybe a first step to get started.
I think that was really insightful. Thank you.
Thanks for opening up to me and also normalizing it, because I've struggled with that too, and it's a work in progress.
Cool, we can be friends.
Great.